A very big YouTuber is leaving the Stikbot community, Shuzzle Films. You may have heard of him from his own channel or me even talking about it, but he was a really big impact on the Sticktuber community and just Stikbot community in general. And a lot of people don't know that. And I think that's half of the reason why he is quitting. He isn't getting the credit he deserved. But that's not the only reason. Anyway, in honor of him, he was going to make a bunch of videos, but because he notices that I'm making these videos, he wants to have me do the videos because he quit Stikbot. So I thought I should make this. Anyway, let's get started. If you don't know, before Chuzzle quit Stikbots and the whole community, he had some video ideas, which he will be giving out to some creators, I believe, so that way they can make the videos that he never could. Anyway, I was given this one, and I'm pretty excited to make it. So what are we talking about? Essentially, the Sticktuber iceberg, and the Stikbot iceberg in general. So, let's get started. We have some pretty standard ones that most of you guys should know, like the Stikbot Show, Kids Filming Club, Stikbot Central, Zing, Clickbots, you know, all the average stuff. If you're watching this channel, you probably know about it, so yeah. Anyway, if you don't know what these things are, just look them up, so yeah. At this point, we start getting some slightly more unknown things, but basically, you know, just a bunch of Stikbot creators. There are some shows listed like The Amazing Off the Grid and What the Bot, but there's also one called the $20,000 contest, so let's get into that. The $20,000 Stikbot contest is what you're seeing on screen right now, and if you want to see some really OG Stikbot videos, just go over here. Basically, as you can guess, it was a $20,000 contest to see who could make the best Stikbot video. This was the 5th place one, now let's look through the others. This one just never gets old, I gotta be honest with you, it's so well done. I'm amazed it's a Stikbot video. I would argue that this revolutionized Stikbot effects. Ticket to Freedom is an extremely underrated Stikbot movie. I absolutely love this. It's so well done, and I gotta applaud it. It's absolutely amazing. Honestly, this isn't that bad. It's actually kind of cool. Anyway, let's carry on. In this category, we have some smaller creators, and also some of their shows too, and a little more too, so let's get into it. We have some people like Chuzzle Films and Apocalypse Films, also Microloop. There is also a gray solid Stikbot listed, but the closest thing I can find is this guy. Some shows he lists off are Misadventures of Stikbot, which I kid you not is a show about where one Stikbot is angry at another Stikbot and the creator of the movies that the Stikbots get made into because they always get farted on. This is a real show. Also, there's a show called The Outbreak created by Walrus. Wait, there's a new episode? How did I miss it? I'm literally subscribed. You know what? I just screw it. Okay, I'm gonna watch it. There's also Lost Dimensions, which despite it looking like it, I have seen each movie at least 2 times, so, yeah. You should watch it. The 3rd one actually just came out. It's pretty good. And, oh yeah! I forgot to mention.
Oh, I am lost in pursuit of these
Memes aside, we're on the 4th layer of the iceberg, so let's get into it. Now this is a fun part, especially for me, because I get to talk about something that no one has talked about in over 5 years. I need to first talk about me for a second. I've been in the Stikbot community ever since 2015, basically since they came out. So I've been in the community for a while, and a lot has happened. And a thing that no one has really talked about, because most of the people who did used to talk about it now don't upload anymore on YouTube, is the white translucent Stikbot. The white translucent Stikbot is a very special Stikbot because it was made in the time before you could really call it a bootleg, because there wasn't much to bootleg, because the company like Stikbot pretty much just started. So there wasn't much to do. This was a prototype that was leaked very early on and eventually sold on eBay. A couple very, very, very early YouTubers leaked it, but from what I know, most of their channels are deleted, and I forgot most of their names, so yeah. A very sad part is that a lot of these old Stikbot stories are just lost to time because their community was so small and most of them quit, so there's not much to do now. I know you guys are going to say, well, there's already a white translucent Stikbot, but it was almost, I don't know how to describe it, but in a certain way, it was way whiter, if that makes sense. Like, it felt more translucent, more whiter. I don't really remember that well how it looked, but I remember it being a lot more whiter, and the strings, instead of being blue or yellow, were actually white. Personally, I think this could have gone a little farther down on the list, but it still makes sense why it's here. He also put down Stikbot movies, which I believe what he means by this is when a series was popular enough or something, they would usually take each episode in the series, compile it together, and then call it a movie. But at the same time, he may also be referring to actual Sticktuber movies like Lost Dimensions, which I mentioned before if you didn't know. The Stikbot 2019 Toy Fair was an extremely big part of Stikbot's history and just in general, because this is when they revealed Clickbots. It would be a new version of Stikbot, you could say, equivalent to a sequel in some ways. It's really cool that they revealed it here. I actually didn't know they revealed it here. I forgot that it was this new. Yeah, it's weird to think that it actually came out like only a couple years ago. It's really interesting though to watch this video because it's like they're describing something that we all know now, definitely we know a lot about, but back then, like, we had no clue what this was. Our next one is the hashtag #HelpFindBob event. Organized by Stikbot Central, Bob was essentially what you could say is a sidekick to Stikbot from the Stikbot show. He would help him, you know, just do average tasks, but he was always kind of a comic relief, but he always got kind of hurt from Stikbot, both literally and mentally. Anyway, so yeah, we're gonna be talking about that. Basically, how this event worked was, Bob was kidnapped and they needed help of the Stikbot community, aka mainly the Sticktuber group and all those people, to make videos trying to figure out where he was. Some of them, you know, got kinda close, but the truth was he was kidnapped by a bunch of nice people who actually respected him a lot. This is canon, and I think it's kinda wholesome in a weird way. Also, Wonder Woman helped save him. It was a pretty cool event, I have to say. But yeah, that was the Help Find Bob event. There's also Stikbot UTV, who quit a while ago, and also Stikbot Monsters and Stikbot Dinosaurs, but they're pretty much what the name implies. Chuzzle also put down the names of his characters in, like, the Stikbot videos that he's made, like the Jewel Rampage, which is a really good show. I'm sad to see it end. Our next section is quite spicy, with some ones that you may even recognize, but others you may not recognize at all. Stick flips were basically essentially just pretty much a bottle flip with a Stikbot. And see, the interesting part about it is how, because like they have suction cups, they can stick to most flat surfaces, which is why you should buy a Stikbot. So basically, you can like do the stick flips, and they'll stick like sideways on a window, and that's what made them really cool. Also, Microloop, Walrus Films, and Chuzzle Films competed in a race to 4,000 subscribers. Chuzzle Films won, with Walrus being in second place, and Microloop, because he stopped uploading, his channel is still at 3,000. There is also the Off the Grid prequel, which is pretty much just an idea. Eventually, in a Q&A, the Striker and a bunch of other people from the thing, from Off the Grid, said that there was going to be a prequel that was coming out after the show ended. But 6 years later, and there's nothing. There may be a fan prequel in the works, but last that we heard, Deadlock Studios was working on it, but I don't think he's working on it anymore. There's an old series that I personally miss a lot, which is Stikbot Animated. It's pretty sad to see it go because, well, it went actually a couple of years ago, but it was a really cool show and stuff. So, I mean, it's sad to see it go. I won't go in too depth on it because Leopold Coleman already made his video on it. It's a really good video, I'll leave it in the description, so you should go check it out. Chuzzle Films actually hates one of his most popular videos, actually his most popular video. which is Tornado Bird. You may wonder why. Well, honestly, he actually did tell me once, but I forgot. And I think he's doing something right now, so from what I remember, I think he just thought that he made it, he just thought that it didn't deserve the credit it had, I guess. In the past, there's been a lot of canceled Zing products and just Stikbot products in general. One of them is actually the Stikbot keychain, pretty infamous for literally being shown at a toy fair, but it never came out and there wasn't really any words on it. Skipping over a couple, let's get to this one. The first one we'll start off on is a classic, the transparent yellow Stikbot, an extremely famous prototype Stikbot that you used to be able to buy on eBay. If anyone finds it up for sale, please DM me. I'm very interested in this guy. The difference between this guy and normal transparent yellow Stikbots is that he has a blue rope inside of him instead of a different color. And this is the main thing, but there are a couple others. I believe the way he's manufactured through the plastic is also slightly different. Okay, now let's move on to the next one. There are multiple kinds of Megabots, but I assume he's talking about these kind because it's farther down on the list. These are 3D printed custom fan-made ones you can get on Etsy. They're pretty cool. They're around, I'd say, 4 Stikbots bigger, and they also come with this little guy who's pretty cool too. There are a lot of Stikbot ripoffs. Despite it not being the most popular brand, there are a lot of ripoffs, and they can range from really crazy to, kind of mellow. And as someone who has bought them, and knows people who have bought them, it depends where you get them and stuff, but they're actually pretty good at times. Okay, yeah, I'm using a new mic now and I sound kind of dead inside. Anyway, so basically, yeah, a bunch of Stikbot ripoffs do exist. And I have to say, they actually sometimes, like I said before, they do kind of stick better sometimes. If you notice in this video that I'm showing that I made, the suction cups are incredibly different usually. That's a big way you can tell. There's also a lot of ones from Russia and China, which I'll go into in a little bit. I ordered one of the 2 off the grid packs, and the funny part is that all the packaging is reversed 2 times. It's really funny. Anyway, so a funnier part is that they misprinted Striker's face, or at least supposed to be Striker, and Striker's face he's literally frowning. It's absolutely hilarious. Now, if you do look a little closer, like me, you're actually able to find some rip-off Stikbots in places you probably never thought of. Here's an example. Danimation's channel thing. It actually is a rip-off Stikbot. You can tell by the suction cups, and I applaud him because amazing. So now let's talk about Stikbot Russia for a little bit. So there is who I would argue is the Kids Filming Club of Russia. Basically, yeah, he makes videos, except he stopped posting a month ago. But so his name is Stikbot Channel, which I just realized, which is a very interesting name. Anyway, so there's a lot of rip-off Stikbots from China and Russia, and he reviews them, so let's look at this. So I learned about his channel probably a little more than half a year ago, and it's actually really interesting. Anyway, so yeah, he reviews all these Stikbots, but they're definitely Stikbots you would probably not see in the US. They're pretty interesting. This one right here is a rip-off Stikbot, but it's a mixture of a Roblox toy pack. Really interesting. And this one we look at right here, this one is actually a Marvel one, I believe. So, yeah, pretty interesting. I'd say this one is more well known, but still, once again, not as well known. So I was so fascinated with these figures a couple months ago. I just had to get one of my hands on them, so I actually DM'd him on Instagram. But he didn't respond, and ironically, maybe a week later, he just didn't go on Instagram again. So, yeah. But if you are watching this video for some reason, or anyone who's in contact with him, please ask him, or please tell me. I'm fascinated with these guys, and they look really cool. Anyway, there are a bunch of other ones too, like unfinished plots and shows, which is pretty much what the name implies. Just a bunch of shows and plots that Stikbot Central or the community didn't finish. But let's go into hashtag save stick films for a second. Don't quote me, but I do believe this is Stikbot Films' channel. If you're curious who Stikbot Films is, he's the Stikbot animator, but he was very important in the community, especially for this part. He made amazing stop motions, but he was eventually banned from YouTube because he was underage. He was 12 when you have to be 13, so yeah, that didn't work out well. Basically, He made such good animations, it was so cool that the entire community got really angry and just sad. So basically they made a protest basically wanting to bring him back. A bunch of people, including Chisel, me, so many people you probably know, we all wanted Stikbot films to come back. He eventually did, but I believe he's gone now again. Then in 2015, Stikbot invaded VidCon. And I would argue this is one of the most questionable videos because the whole community talks about this one part, which I don't want to get my video taken down for. So I'm just not really going to mention it except that. Yeah, okay. Yeah, basically he went to VidCon and they sold Stikbots there. It's really cool. Yeah, okay, next subject. Walrus Films, or Walrus, was gone for a year. Well, almost. So what happened to him? Yeah, we didn't know for a bit, but he did eventually, once he came back, he did tell us. But a lot of people were concerned, worried, and just curious. So, what did happen to him? The short answer is that his house was being remodeled, so he had none of his equipment to, you know, make videos and stuff. But he's back now, and I'm really excited because all his new content that he says it looks really cool, okay? I'm really excited. Stikbot Live and Stikbot Gaming were a series basically where Stikbot would play video games, from Roblox to Hello Neighbor, you know, all the classics. It was actually pretty fun sometimes. He'd usually live stream it, and I have to admit it was pretty fun. But eventually, he stopped making them, probably because they weren't doing as well as normal Stikbot videos. But, you know, still interesting. There were also some stick pet leaks, which are pretty self-explanatory. Just Stikbot pets, you know, getting leaked. Now, as we dive deeper down, we find a lot more interesting things, like Dr. Z, so let's dive in. Okay, so let's start off a while ago, let's say. Dr. Z was played by what you guys may know him as Animation Eddie, a Stikbot animator who was actually the original voice of Stikbot, and, as some of you may know, Stikbot Deadpool. Basically, he played this character called Dr. Z. It was a character for, like, Zing toys. Basically, he would show off new products, but he was mainly known for his Stikbot videos. Now, from what I've found, Dr. Z has almost been completely erased from the internet. In fact, it's actually insane. I was looking on, you know, Zing toys, all that stuff. I've been doing this for years. Like, outside of this, I was literally just curious what happened to Dr. Z. I can't find any videos, like, of his. I still can't. So, please contact me if you know any. Or I'm probably just an idiot and they've been right in front of me. Anyway, so, there was only two things I could find that had him on it, basically. So, it was this video of what I would assume a daughter and like a father, whatever, you know, like it's like a toy review for Zing, but it has Dr. Zing on the cover. Oh yeah, Dr. Z stood for Zing because Zing toys and stuff. So, and then I also found his YouTube channel, which is dead, so yeah. So if you don't know, Zing Toys is actually, and just Zing Incorporated, it's actually located in Portland, Oregon. In the United States, so, you know, kind of interesting fact. Our next one is about the Stikbot Grizzly Bear. Basically, a while ago, there was a Stikbot image leaked of a normal bear, like a panda bear Stikbot, but with circular ears. So, they let them vote, Stikbot let, like, the community vote, do they want a polar bear or a grizzly bear? Well, everyone wanted a polar bear. And there was never a grizzly bear to be seen again, except on some Stikbot merch. Kinda weird, right? A little bit ago, I was talking about the 2019 Stikbot Toy Fair, and how it was pretty important in Stikbot history. Well, there's one thing out of the entire Toy Fair that still hasn't come out ever since 2019. It's been 2 years now, and it still hasn't come out. So what is it? The Stikbot 3-pack. It would be a group of 3 Stikbots in one pack. Still hasn't come out. We haven't really gotten any updates on it, so, you know, kind of interesting, even though I've said this like a bajillion times. Okay, so as I'm making this, I just found out something really interesting, which might change a lot of people's opinions. To anyone who said that the white translucent Stikbot and black translucent Stikbot were fake, well, we're actually on the black translucent Stikbot, so you know what, let's just talk about that first. The black translucent Stikbot was known, I'd say, more than the white translucent Stikbot, but basically it would be a black translucent Stikbot. But it never came out, and everyone thought it was fake, but it actually was real. And Zing, the actual Stikbot, the actual company confirmed that it was real. It was not like a ripoff or anything. It actually exists, which is, I think, really cool. So no one has been able to find it after this image popped up. But there have been some other things that came out of this image. Remember how I was talking about a white translucent Stikbot before and how it wasn't really that well known, except for very OG people in the Stikbot community who most of them quit now? Well, actually there is something that I did just find out. Apparently someone actually did ask Zing about a black translucent Stikbot, which is the one I just showed, and a white translucent Stikbot, and they're actually real. They confirmed that they were prototypes. So, I mean, that's pretty cool. Now we are officially on the final one. The final layer of the iceberg. It only took us like 21 minutes. Okay, so let's get started. If you guys don't know, which I would be very sad about if you didn't know, Vine used to be kind of the equivalent to Musical.ly or TikTok. I don't want to say it, but I mean, like, let's be honest. Okay, so anyway, if you don't know, Vine shut down in 2016. So, oh no, how are we gonna find the Stikbot Vine account? Because yes, that existed. Well, it was actually really easy. I just went to an archive and then changed the URL. Anyway, I didn't really, there wasn't much there. Pretty much just a bunch of re-upload What the Bot episodes, but I will leave a thing in the description so that way you guys can check it out. So if you don't know, Stikbots actually used to have their own TV commercial, which stopped airing, I think. But, yeah, here's the commercial. It's pretty interesting. And I have to admit, I think I might have seen it before. I don't know for sure though. I never actually had like cable or anything, but I probably saw it at like a friend's house. But this isn't how I learned about Stikbots, but I think it is cool that they had this. And I think these are actually some of the community's videos, which also makes it really cool. Also, the first ever Stikbot videos on here, it's pretty much just Stikbot introducing himself. Pretty snazzy video. So there are actually two. Two of what, you may ask? Well, yeah, I'm about to explain. And I added the suspense because, you know, we're starting to get farther down the list, and the video's about to add. I just want to make it. Okay, so basically, there are two Stikbot apps that they recommend using. So the two Stikbot apps are basically they're just two Stikbot apps. But I heard that 2 is better. But I mean, I don't know. Okay, so this one right here, it's kind of controversial, and I don't really, I don't want to get into it, but if anyone does want to explain it in the comments or something, feel free to. Just, I'm not going to be talking about it, okay? Okay, so he actually doesn't have this on the list, but it's pretty unknown, so I'm just going to talk about it here. So, let's say that you run out of photos on your phone, and you're like, oh no, I need to take this picture, like, right now, but what am I going to do? Well, you should actually install Stikbot version 1. There's this weird thing where sometimes you're actually able to take a picture. You take the picture and it saves to your phone, or it doesn't save to your phone, it saves to the app and then you just take a screenshot, that works. Or you can actually save it to your phone. You can do this infinitely. It's absolutely insane, and it doesn't count as storage even though it is storage. It's so weird, but basically you can save infinite pictures through this glitch. So I highly recommend it. And around 24 minutes later, the video's over. This was quite a wild ride. It was really fun to research. It took a while to make, but it was definitely worth it in the end. And the thing I have to say is, if you were watching this video and you were watching the background, you might have been noticing a lot of Easter eggs. Well, so if you watch the very first half of the background, you might have noticed that me and a friend piled a bunch of barrels full of oil or lighter fluid or whatever, and we were gonna shoot it because then it would go boom boom. So do you want to see what it looks like when it goes boom boom? Because it'll make a big explosion. Well, yeah, just here it is. But with that said, it was an honor having you in the community, Chuzzle. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next one. Bye.